Movie critic Robbie Collin watched Justice League and got just ridiculously confused about everything in the thing. But he did know who Wonder Woman was. He figured that out. Good job, Robbie. What's up, you guys? How are you doing? If it's your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it. Also, once you finish watching this video, we'd love to hear what you thought of Justice League and of this ridiculous critics review. Now let's take a look at it. There's no trace of hope in Warner Brothers' latest hapless attempt to jumpstart their DC Comics blockbuster brand. Wow, that was a lot of B's. Oh, I'm tired already. Which at this point looks less like a cinematic universe than a pop cultural black hole, sucking up as much money and audience goodwill as the studio can shovel into it. I feel like after Wonder Woman, you don't get to say any of that stuff. It's part of the universe. I understand that it happened like prior, and it's not like linear or whatever, but it's there. It was successful. People loved it. So no black hole yet. They had some misses, but I mean, this is like right after that. It's like judging Nicolas Cage's entire career on one movie. They're all awful. I like him, I'm just kidding. After a 4-film build-up that began 4 years ago with Man of Steel, Justice League should have felt like a culmination, with Batman and Wonder Woman recruiting new heroes and bringing back Superman in order to fend off an extraterrestrial invasion, in much the same way the Avengers did for Marvel 5 years ago. I understand that we can make that comparison, but we can also make the comparison that they're freaking comic books. Come on. Plus, like, the main guy is an alien in DC. So like, I mean, if anyone's ripe for an alien invasion, it's DC. Fucking Superman, homie. Instead, it feels like a sheepish, full-length retraction of the franchise to date, which you don't like in the first place. So if it's a retraction of it, wouldn't that be a good thing? You literally just said that you didn't like all the other stuff, and it's kind of like a black hole, so wouldn't go and like, ignore that. Look at this, wouldn't that be a good thing? I have a feeling KFC wants us to forget the double down? Deep cut. It's consistently embarrassing to watch and features plot holes so yawningly vast they have a kind of Grand Canyon-like splendor. Part of you wants to hang around to see what they look like at sunset. I don't understand that analogy. I do understand that the Grand Canyon is amazing. So are you complimenting it? Or do you hate the Grand Canyon? And you're like, might as well fucking wait for sunset and see if it's better. Cause you're a shitty person to go on vacation with. You're the type of guy you walk into the Roman Colosseum with and you're looking at your phone trying to find if there's an Arby's nearby. The answer is no. Actually, there's amazing Italian food, cause it's fucking Italy. But there is a Taco Bell in the gift shop. I'm just picturing them coming out with like the Gladiator Tater Quesadilla. Batman and his alter ego Bruce Wayne are once again played by Ben Affleck, but his earnest, striving, just for men box version of the character here is all but unrecognizable from the machine gun toting hungover gargoyle in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Just for men box version? He looked old though. Yeah, he used the touch of gray stuff, that's what it was. He's like the quintessential I'm getting too old for this shit. He's the new Danny Glover. Except also Batman. Now I want Danny Glover as Batman. Then there's Henry Cavill's Superman, whose personality changes on a shot-by-shot basis, from the blank-eyed demigod to lumbersexual funster faster than a speeding bullet. I mean, someone who's staring at you blankly and thinking that they're God, who looks like a lumbersexual, is a hipster. I mean, maybe they're just trying to hit that, you know, 20 to 35 range. I could really relate to Superman now, but the old Superman was better. I say as I'm drinking whatever green shit this is. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, is perfectly recognizable from her solo film earlier this year. It's kind of hard to miss her. She's wearing a Wonder Woman costume. Wait a minute, something's different. No. They'd have been nuts to tinker, although there's naturally a lot less of her here, because it's not a Wonder Woman movie. I understand that that's what you mean, but what an unnecessary part of your sentence. And without Gadot's full beam star power to light the way, the film frequently struggles to get through a scene without tripping over itself. She's the only person that can handle a scene. Alright. They should have just made like Wonder Woman 2 and these other guys can show up sometimes. Why not just do that? It would just be awesome if the whole movie was Wonder Woman telling everybody else to shut up and her just stealing the scene every time. Like, shut up, Superman, and her just taking control every fucking scene. The end result is a broken film, swimming in bad CGI and forgettable mayhem that you can't imagine any number of rewrites or reshoots could have saved. I mean, that's bullshit. Because if you write a completely different movie and film a completely different movie, you have a different movie. So that there's gotta be a number of rewrites and reshoots that can change it enough, because you can rewrite you could do the whole thing over. It's like, no amount of money is gonna help me buy this house. Wrong. That house has a certain price, and if you get enough money, you can purchase it. That same thing. And if you'd like more information on this, there's a Taco Bell in the gift shop. You can eat while I give you nothing. It can't even decide how to start. I mean, there was a pretty clear beginning. I mean, I wasn't confused by that. It was somewhere after all the lights went down and the studio credits ended, and I started seeing things that had to do with the story. That seemed like a beginning to me. It's like someone hands you a book, like, where the fuck do I start it? It's not like I handed you a manga that you have to read backwards. Like, it's a movie. You know where it started. And offers up no less than 5 introductory scenes, including Bruce Wayne pony trekking in Iceland, Wonder Woman thwarting a terrorist attack in London, and yet another instance of that DC franchise staple, the slow motion funeral. Well, a fast motion funeral would be f***ed up. He's f***ing dead. Like, what do you want? The Benny Hill funeral. That sounds like a great idea. It's also not weird to set the stage for a bunch of characters that have to come together, because like if you just show them all together right away, then like you would have, then it would have been a different movie. They all had to come together. So you kind of got to show where they are, and then they come together. It's not like you could just have Batman sitting in a cafe and just being like, ah, shit, everybody's here. All right, let's go fight some aliens. We're just trying to be different than Marvel. One of the film's 3 new superheroes, Jason Momoa's Aquaman, picture Marvel's Thor, crossed with the disgraced Olympic swimmer Ryan Lochte, holding a garden rake. Garden rake? Really? That's the best you could do? For someone holding a fucking trident? Garden rake? Like, pitchfork was the obvious, you went to garden rake. If you're gonna insult him, understand your farming tools. Is introduced twice. Once trading Whedonian zingers with Bruce Wayne, and then again a few minutes later, with much Snyder-esque gurning and flexing on the prow of a sinking ship. I wish I can use intelligent words to sound like a dick. That was great. Although, if you were to talk like that to someone in a bar, they would just hit you even if they couldn't tell you were insulting them. They'd be like, fuck you and your big words. I'll show you who's gurning. Ezra Miller's early scenes as the lightning-fast Flash bode a little better. As he visits his father, Billy Crudup, in prison, there's at least a glimmer of backstory, but then he's immediately reduced to the team's fantastically annoying comic relief. I actually thought he had depth. And it really doesn't matter if I disagree with you. Like, he was, like, you may have found him annoying, a lot of other people found him funny, but to say that the backstory stopped, I mean, he had to overcome all this stuff, so it kind of continued. And made sense. It's kind of weird to say it wasn't there and it just kind of stopped and he just became comic relief. Like, his fear of stuff and overcoming things to become a hero isn't like all of his story ending. It seems kind of like a progression to me. But what do I know? I don't know what the f gurning means, so whatever. As for Ray Fisher's Cyborg, the film doesn't seem to know anything about him. He has his hood up a lot, and that's more or less all we get. I'm gonna gloss over that, because I don't know how to respond to it without thinking that was a little racist. Yeah, let's move on. Meanwhile, gurgling away in the background is Danny Elfman's score, which grabs at John Williams' 1978 Superman theme, Elfman's own Batman motif from the Tim Burton years, and Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL's Wonder Woman cello riff in a panicky fumble for something, anything the audience might recognize or like. The result, as if it even needs to be said, is an incoherent din and a total mismatch for Snyder's images. That actually doesn't really make any sense. Like, the fact that he tried to use recognizable themes for the characters so that it gave it some yeah, that doesn't make sense. It might have felt like a mishmash, it might have felt like it didn't make sense, but it's not weird to give a theme to a character, especially when those themes already exist, so that people can have an emotional connection immediately based on what they're hearing. Like that, I don't find that weird. I mean, that's literally everything that John Williams does, and he's like the greatest, so I don't find that strange. You cannot like it, and Danny Elfman might have been a weird choice, because normally he's like dun 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 dun, you know, normally he's ripe for Tim Burton and not quite this, but that was just kind of a dumb thing for you to say. At least the League's inaugural mission seems simple enough. 3 mother boxes, ancient gadgets with the power to end all life on Earth, must be kept out of the clutches of Steppenwolf, a computer-generated demon voiced by Ciarán Hinds, and his squadron of flying parademons. Alright, so far we're okay with the first mission. So that's good. Where does it go wrong, sir? I say sir sarcastically, not with respect. Sir. Except even the basics of this turn out to be bewilderingly difficult. At one mind-boggling juncture, the team inexplicably leaves the final mother box unattended in a car park, only for Steppenwolf to beam down and make off with it while they're doing something else. You're not gonna mention what they were doing? Might have been important. I mean, we could do that about anything. Like, she left the kid home with the daddy, but she had to go to court. I mean, court was probably important. But I'm just gonna say she was doing something else. Neglectful bitch. I don't know, that was a weird analogy. Anyway, for a scene that risible to end up in a $300 million blockbuster is no mean feat. But Justice League is a mess in ways cheaper productions could only dream about. A post-credits scene dutifully teases more to come, but the film's heart just isn't in it. After Justice League, there's nowhere else any of this can go. There's no place for this to go. We know literally nothing about like 3 of the characters in the movie, and there's no place for it. We just saw Cyborg actually act like Cyborg, and there's no, we can't go anywhere with this. No? Like DC Comics has been around for how Superman's been around for how fucking long, and there's no way we can figure out a way to continue this shit. It's like, what are you reading? I'm reading Superman issue 9000. I wonder if they can come up with another story. And speaking of people who have no place to go, subscribe to our channel so that we feel like we're accomplishing something and like we might head toward Justice League 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. If it is your first time here, hit the subscribe button like I just said. Click that little bell right next to it so you can get notified every time we have a video. And also in the comments, we'd love to hear what you thought of Justice League and this critic. And until we see you guys next time, geek out and game on.